This is Yair Davidiy speaking to you from the land of Israel. I represent Brit-Am Hebrew nations. Our movement searches the whereabouts of the lost 10 tribes. The lost 10 tribes was a section of the Israelite nation, the major portion of the Israelite nation that was exiled by the Assyrians, lost consciousness and awareness of its identity of who it was, and from a cultural point of view was assimilated amongst the nations. Nevertheless, to a great degree they stayed together, they were cohesive, they remained recognizable entities on the whole. Even though they lost much of their original language, their customs and recollections of where they had come from, they remained together and they moved to the west. They moved into the Western nations and moved into the British Isles, to areas of Western Europe, and from there they colonised other places as well. They colonised North America, that is the USA and Canada, also Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and they are the peoples we know of today, the peoples of Western Europe, the peoples of Britain and the offshoots of Britain, and we do not say that everyone in those areas descends from Israelites. We say that that is where the Israelites are. They may be an influential minority, they may be the majority. There's another point, but that is where they are, and they are fulfilling a role that the Bible speaks about. And we have identified them. We have identified the lost 10 tribes as being in these areas through the Bible, through rabbinical commentators on the Bible that we use, and also through mythology, linguistics, historical writings. Anything that has something pertinent to say on the subject, we have studied it and we have seen how it applies to studies to this subject. And there is overwhelming evidence that lost 10 tribes are amongst Western nations. Today we find especially a significant element from Israel amongst the people of the USA. For some reason, that is where a good portion of the lost 10 tribes seem to have congregate, or seem to give expression to their task as Israelites. And that is what the present talk will speak about. And we identify the USA, people of the USA in general, as coming from all of the Israelites and also from Judah, but especially with the tribe of Joseph being predominant amongst them. And amongst Joseph, there were two tribes of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh, and Manasseh especially has left its imprint on the American character. And this is important, and this is worth knowing. And new evidence comes to the surface frequently on this subject. And even in contemporary affairs and what is going on at present, we see evidence of this, and we have proofs of it. We should remember that the lost 10 tribes were exiled. They lost consciousness of who they were taken away. But there was a reason for it. God Almighty had a plan. It was part of the divine purpose that they should do this, that this should happen to them. He says when they divided, when they separated themselves from Judah, the king of Judah, Rehoboam, wanted to go up and fight against them, but a prophet came unto him and says, "Thus says the Lord, you must not go up and fight against your relatives, the sons of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing has come from me." That's what God says, 1 Kings 12:24. We have hints at this throughout the Bible, that there was a purpose for it, and this is amplified in other studies that we have done, also from rabbinical commentators and the niceties of the Hebrew language. And we have discussed this and shown how this is the case. That they had a purpose, there was a reason for their division and for them losing consciousness of their ancestry. They are destined to evolve upwards, to forget who they are, but to go forward, to advance forward, and to bring the rest of the world with them, and that is what they had done. Also, another task associated with the lost 10 tribes was to help Judah, to assist Judah in the latter days, and also to help Judah in resettling the land of Israel, and that is what the USA is now doing at present. We don't know what will be tomorrow. It could change. There were, in the past, there were times when it seems that this was about to change, but so far it has gone ahead. And it is fulfilling these indications concerning lost 10 tribes, and this is a characteristic of the lost 10 tribes. One of the characteristics of the lost 10 tribes of the USA especially has been putting into effect. So this is worth noting. Another point is that we are getting closer to the end times, and in the end times there will be an arousal amongst the lost 10 tribes. They wish to return, they wish to reassert their ancestry, and this is happening. And this is happening in all kinds of ways, and people want to wake up and they feel that they belong to Israel, they want to go back to the land of Israel, or that they're descended from Israel, or they somehow identify with Israel, whether spiritually or physically or psychologically. This is happening, and this is especially happening in the USA. And so this is something to take notice of, and that we should all look out for signs of this, because the signs are appearing. Look it out, look for it, and you will see it. There was an article in the Huffington Post concerning what they call Christian nationality, and this too shows that the characteristics of Israelites wishing to return and are being aroused in this direction are apparent today. The article is a Huffington Post article. It says headed researchers discussed common thread among Christians who vote for Trump. It was written by Carol Kurevilla on the 4th of April 2018. I'll read out extracts from it, and then we shall very briefly summarise our findings in the light of it. So Carol Kurevilla writes, social scientists have a number of theories on why President Donald Trump captured the votes of 80% of white evangelical Protestants in the 2016 election, much more than his support from any other religious group. And the president still enjoys the approval of 78% of white evangelicals, according to a recent Pew Research Center study. In a recently published study, a team of sociologists claims there's another common thread that could explain why some evangelicals are willing to overlook behaviour that would typically condemn as immoral. Andrew Whitehead, a socialist at Clemson University, told HuffPost that the key is Christian nationalism. Christian nationalism is an ideology that fuses Christians' love of God and country. It hinges on the narrative that the United States is a special covenant with a Christian God. This ideology has been mentioned at various times in US history, but a distinct aggressive iteration seems to have materialized in the Trump era. And so on. That is the article. She goes on at some length, giving details and opinions, but the bottom line is that they identify what they call Christian nationalism amongst evangelicals and others who support President Trump, and that these people feel a special covenant with the Christian God, and they believe that this covenant involves the USA. Now, we are not Christians, okay? We are not Christians, we are Jewish. And we do not believe in the same thing as the Christians do. We do, however, believe in the Bible, and behind Christianity there is an appreciation. There's also a belief in the Bible, and the Christians we understand to be in error, but nevertheless they also believe in the Bible, and they seek to find the God of the Bible according to their own understanding. But the nitty-gritty comes out that it's almost the same thing. It's very similar. We believe in the Bible. The Israelites are the chosen people of God. They have a covenant with God and they have a purpose for being in this world and doing the will of God Almighty. And the Christian nationalists also believe the same thing. And incidentally, they also see an expression of what they are, usually on the whole, as being supportive of Israel. They too feel a certain affinity with us, as we do with them. And this was not the case in the past. So this shows that there is something going on. There is something to what we say, and they answer that they are awakening without being consciousness of exactly what they are awakening to. They are becoming more and more, in a spiritual sense, aware of their Israelite ancestry, even though they are not at present prepared to formulate it or able to do so. So this is worth taking into consideration, and this is the reality. The lost 10 tribes are amongst Western nations. They have to know who they are. They have to be made, has to be made known unto them who they are. And this is what we are doing. And this is what we will, God willing, continue to do. May the Lord God of Israel bless you. Thank you.